Because I mean, they're still living afterwards, and well, in verse 17, and the days of youth and their old age, they shall complete peace. If this is eternity, there is no such thing as old age or children.
Yeah. The question would be here in verse 15, it says, "And let the plant of righteousness and truth appear. They shall prove a blessing. The works of righteousness and truth shall be planted in truth and joy forevermore. And then shall all the righteous escape, and shall live till they beget positive children. And all the days of their youth and their old age shall they complete in peace." Is
Yeah, to me,
plant of
that's talking about
righteousness and truth,
Christ.
yeah,
Just heaven on
Jesus.
earth, right? Heaven on earth.
Hmm.
But I mean, that happened the first coming and second coming.
Right. And
Because
so,
how would you have? That's what I'm saying. This doesn't seem to be talking about a final thing. It seems like they're already destroyed.
what, say it again. What do you mean?
It seems like those angels or whatever, they're already destroyed, whether it's at his second coming here or at the flood. It doesn't seem like there's another final coming in the book of Enoch
Well, in
so
this,
far.
right, so far. In this passage, it is talking about the judgment in 70 AD. Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that.
So in verse 14, then that they are condemned and destroyed will from thenceforth be bound together with them to the end of all generations. So you believe the end of all generations is 70 AD? They're binding?
Yeah. Yeah, Jesus was the last generation because he never dies. He's the
Oh,
70th
okay.
generation.
Okay.
Um, there's no one beyond him.
I see.
That's kind of how I see it, but I see what you're saying. Yeah, you could definitely see it as, that's the end of all generations. That's the end of the age.
Mm-hmm.
I thought
And
maybe you would say that they were bound in 70 AD until the end of all generations.
no, no, it seems to indicate they were bound before the flood, and that they were bound till the 70th generation, and that's Jesus' generation. His generation never ends.
Okay, so they were bound and then let loose sometime around Jesus' generation.
How do you know that he's the 70th generation?
It
Uh,
tells us in Matthew, doesn't it? Or Mark?
yeah, if you go according to the kingly line, it's 70.
It doesn't say 70 generations or something like that. It's 42 generations from Abraham to Christ. So,
Yeah, it's not as clear cut as you would think, but because one has 77, one has 70. But I know when I looked at it and I went through the kingly line, you go through Mary's line, but then you have to cross over. Once it gets to a point, there's a point where you can continue with one side or the other. Is both are correct, but one is the kingly line that takes
But
you up
when
to
you say
Solomon.
kingly line, I mean, you mean to David, or what? What are you referring to?
Yeah, there's two. Yes, the one that takes you through the kings up to Solomon and then David.
So there's a different, like genealogy for the kingly versus like the non-kingly.
I'd have to pull it up, but if you go strictly by Mary, then Mary would go back to David, but it's through a different line.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I'd have to look. I'd have to show you what I'm talking about.
Gotcha. So are you saying it's the seven? You're saying the 70th. He's the 70th generation. Jesus
Right. Right.
from Adam,
Yes.
and you okay? What about the addition with, I know I bring this up a lot, but in Genesis 11 and Luke chapter 3, you have um, the extra name, Canaan.
Uh-huh.
Does that also count as the 70, or is that like, would it be 71?
I'm not sure. I have to look at it.
Okay.
At, at the source that I was looking at, that was showing that it was 70. I can't remember off the top of my head if that was included. But it would make sense that, God loves 70, but it would make sense that he is the 70th. But
I'm pretty sure God loves every number. He made them all.
yeah, but there's other numbers that are special.
I mean, maybe it's the 120th generation. I'm just saying it's pretty interesting that it would be like, I think it's pretty difficult to just say, oh, he's the 70th from Adam. I mean, without, really diving into it. If you're saying that there's two of them that, conflate, you can't have, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, why only 1 through 10?
So that we could go over it and not get too much. We talked about it Monday that we'd just go over, look at the first 10 chapters and then talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To keep it minimal.
Now,
Y'all did miss a lot of fun stuff, but maybe it's for a reason. Who knows? I don't know.
well, I left at 11 o'clock Monday, so, I was here.
Yeah, I haven't read Enoch in many years. Maybe like 3 years. I didn't even look at that book.
That's precisely why I figured it was time for a refresher, right? Because it's not good to be like, oh, I hate that book. I'm not gonna, like whatever. Maybe if you're wrong, maybe you should look at it again. Who knows? You could
No,
be
it's
wrong.
definitely an interesting book. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely is 100% contrary to your understanding of the Nephilim and all that stuff.
Oh, of course it is. Mm-hmm. But I'm at least willing to look at it again. I will look at it again. I will be like, all right, maybe I'm wrong.
Now, Uriel is not mentioned in the normal canon, correct?
Uriel? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Correct. You are correct. There's no Uriel in the scriptures.
Because
None.
Raphael means the Lord is my healer. Michael is who is like the Most High. Gabriel is the Lord is my strength.
Uriel is in scriptures, but not as an angel.
As a man's name.
Yeah, I think something like that. Or a lady, I can't remember. But yeah, I think just Gabriel and Michael are mentioned as far as possibility of being angels. Yeah. So there's only 91 chapters. It doesn't take very long to read the book of Enoch. It's a pretty short read.
Now, is that when you say 91 chapters, are you including first, second, and third Enoch?
No.
So that's only first Enoch is the 91 chapters?
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
91. Is that right, Alan?
Yeah.
It's definitely
Or-
in the 90s.
Okay.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, most people don't acknowledge the second and the third one as, I guess, canon per
Canon.
se.
Yeah. I think like the Ethiopians only include maybe first Enoch. I can't remember.
Was
Yeah, I
this
know there's a
found,
little differences between the Ethiopian one and the other one, I guess.
was this found in the Dead Sea Scrolls at all or anything like that?
Enoch, yeah. Some of it. I don't think all of that, of course not. But
Yeah, I think just like fragments. I was trying to look for
yeah.
you, Stacy, if it was Hebrew or Aramaic. It looked like all I could find was it was both, but it didn't seem to really confirm that anywhere.
I'd like to just see what that manuscript looks like.
It's probably minuscule.
Right, that's what I was kind of looking for.
I think most of the stuff we get is from the Ethiopian, but I think there is a little difference between like my Enoch is more of like a Hebrew roots Enoch, so they have like all like Yahuwah and all that kind of stuff in it.
So this is like the Nag Hammadi library stuff, if it's heavily Ethiopian influenced.
Probably.
One of the interesting things that we came across in chapter 2, I think it was the book of Enoch said there's 14 evergreen trees, and according to Wikipedia, there's 14 evergreen families,
Oh,
over the whole world. How would Enoch know that back then? He was just a local guy. He wasn't a world traveler.
I mean, well, technically, he was a world traveler.
What do you mean?
He went to heaven. He went to the Garden of Eden.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That'd be one way he could find that out. But
Yeah. But like an earthly, worldly traveler, probably not.
He's Enoch, dude. He was like, yo, Noah, hit me up with those 14 species you're gonna take on the ark, dog. Like, before I go, I gotta go before you get on the ark. I gotta be out of here.
I had asked him before you came on.
Noah didn't take plants on the ark, did he?
Unless if he
How do you
named
know?
unless he named an animal plant.
It doesn't say he didn't.
No,
It
I
doesn't
don't
say he
think he
does.
did.
But it just simply doesn't say. Why
No,
not?
there's some interesting videos I've seen where, if the world was covered and you have all the plants get destroyed, they still settle, they go back down, and the seeds still sprout, and I forget what they call that.
Well,
But
no, I'm just thinking in my mind, like, if I'm thinking huge disaster, I'm thinking massive piles of floating debris, and that's how the seeds survive. Massive piles of floating debris. You would
yeah,
have
and once all the
giant mats of dead stuff floating around, and you could live on that. Even the insects, you know what I mean? They have their own ark. It's pretty funny, actually.
I had asked the question, Zach, before you came on about Metatron. And
about what?
Metatron. They said the name sounded familiar, but they weren't quite sure. And
Is that like
remember,
Transformers?
I think that Enoch was given the job to be the scribe of heaven, and so his name was changed to Metatron.
Not Megatron, Metatron. One letter difference, I think.
I think that's like the Transformer guy, right? Megatron.
Well, that's probably where they got it from.
Oh,
You
technically.
know how Hollywood likes Gnosticism and, extra biblical stuff.
No. This isn't extra biblical. This is the Bible, bro.
And
Did
there
we
was
want to
something
read?
about wings with many eyes.
Did you guys talk about Azazel?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was chapters 7, 8, and 9, I think.
And Simjaza.
Semyaza, the guy that Billy Meyer, right? If you ever
Yeah,
seen
it said
Billy
there
Meyer,
was 20 leaders, and they all had 10 followers, including the leader. There was
So
10
we
followers.
apparently it was determined that Azazel was the over, but Simjaza was head over the Watchers.
That's what it appears to be, according to what I think I understand.
Yeah, and then I think later in the somewhere in the Book of Enoch, it talks about Gadrael or something like that. He was the angel
Gadriel. Yeah.
that
Okay.
tricked Eve.
Rings, yeah.
Yeah, it says a lot of things that are like, what?
So it's like what's interesting is, let's just say, the normal Christianity is correct, the devil, everything, all that, not all that stuff. It would
Right.
seem Enoch is saying that angel, which was Gadriel, or however you say his name, was not like the head evil angel entity. He was
Strike one
under
up for Albert.
angels for he was under Azazel, and then the other one you just mentioned. So it would seem like if the lake of fire was created for, like, the evil leader angel that corrupted, it would be one of those two, not Gadriel, or the angel that actually, like, deceived Eve. If that
Right.
makes
Well,
any
see,
sense.
yeah, no, I mean, see, that's the whole thing. Like, it says in Genesis, like the whole problem was man. Man, that the thoughts of man's heart was only continually evil all the time. It doesn't say anything about these other dudes who might have interfered in some way or whatever. It just says man did this, man did that, man is the problem. Man is the one I'm gonna wreck because man is the one who screwed it up, right? He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't say anything about anybody else as far as I.
But in
He just
context, he
says,
does mention the giants in the same breath. So there
but
would be a relationship there.
true, but see, this is what does it mean by giants? Is it
Yeah, what does the
actual?
word
Because
Nephilim even mean?
yeah, that's the whole crux and root of the whole issue is because, like, what does this word mean? What does it mean by giants? Does it mean like tyrants, bullies? Does it mean big groups of people, hordes of dudes who are jerks? Like, does it mean actual literal giant people? Like, I can go either way with this. It doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah, I'll take it for what it says. Yeah.
well,
What does it
giant,
say,
but
though?
again,
All right,
like,
so
is Donald Trump a giant? I'm just saying.
I have a
Go
question.
ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So the
I,
Nephilim,
I take it as heavenly beings,
Oh, hold on. Stacy
human,
had
and
a
they
question,
gave birth
right?
to giants.
yeah. All right, so the Nephilim were the children of the fallen angels and the daughters of men. So I'm not sure. The Nephilim were the ones that were turning on each other, killing each other, and that was punishment for their fathers to see that their beloved children were killing one another, or were the Nephilim destroyed in the flood? I don't know which is the case according to the Book of Enoch.
Yeah, according to the Book of Enoch, it seems to indicate that most of them were killed fighting each other, because that was great sorrow for those angels that had sinned and caused all this.
So then the flood has nothing to do with those guys.
Right. But because of everything that was happening on earth, because what was taught of men, and they taught them how to, all these evil things and secrets that they shouldn't have had, I believe the world became so corrupt that, just like Genesis says, the intent of the heart was continually evil.
Now, isn't it the Book of Enoch that actually says that writing is evil, that the knowledge of how to write down was considered evil and was taught by the fallen angels?
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure. I don't remember reading that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I've read it before, and it's in Enoch.
What's the context of it?
It was talking about how they were taught sinful things that man should
Oh,
never have known, which was writing, the use of makeup, things like
oh yeah, like enchantments and things like that.
Oh yeah, that's a good
metal
point.
molding,
It says
yeah,
welding.
teaching
metal
them
making.
writing to write things. And,
Metal making.
it's funny because later God says, write it in a book. So you can't have God telling you to write things when earlier it's a trap for you to write things. Right?
Unless
Is that
he
what
was
Well, it
like
depends what you're
out of the
writing.
bag now, so
No, because in Enoch itself, it says it is like it's super bad for you to write things concerning the faith in pen and ink. That's what it says. What do you do with that one? I know I'm cherry picking here, but
Well, I'm not cherry picking. I'm asking questions what I remember, and I'm just asking, and then Albert will get on my emails and say, "Huh, see here," but
yeah, my bad. Answer Stacy's question, not mine.
I mean, if I can like ask something,
You are welcome to ask anything.
now, I mean, I used to believe 100% of all this Nephilim stuff, but what was interesting is when I started looking at Genesis, just by itself, it was kind of hard to gather that, I guess, idea just from that alone. Would you say, Alan, that you would have to go outside of Genesis 1 through 6 in order to, I guess, come to that conclusion of all that stuff? Like for example, like the word Nephilim is only used twice in the Bible, so you can't really definitively say that the word Nephilim, like, when you said you just read it for as it is, like you have to dig deeper to really understand what that word means.
Well, I know
That's
that
why there's so much confusion about it.
when I first learned about this and read about it, I knew nothing about apocryphal books or extra biblical books. I only had the Bible. This is before the internet. Um, so when I read Genesis, I read it just plainly. And to me, I could visually see it. These angels coming down from heaven, uh, sinning against God by coming into women and
But
getting
when
married to
it's
James. I see.
so
That's what I see.
so
Is
you
that
had
really
no,
though what you
well, hold on,
thought
hold on,
from
hold
the
on.
very
So
beginning? Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, that's
so
all
my
I've
main
always
thing
thought.
is so you just read Genesis 1 through 6, and automatically when it said sons of men, or the sons of God, automatically, just went boom, those are
Yeah, because
angels.
it contrasts with children of men. It just, to me, it just flows. It's like natural. It's like,
Gotcha.
why would it be a problem if men were having sex with women? I don't get it.
I mean, you don't see it, like there's no weight at all to that. The chapters just before it gave you, like get out of here, like Cain's lineage, genealogy went off. They were evil. They were bad. And then you have, you know, God's, Adam's like true lineage, like the good people, and then you don't see two different distinct genealogies going on.
Sethian and Cain.
I didn't see two distinct genealogies. I saw one distinct genealogy, and that's the line of Christ.
But you don't
And
see one of Cain.
I mean, I didn't focus on the line of Cain. I mean, it was just those that aren't obeying God. I didn't see it as like two separate paths.
Do you think it's interesting that it is that way though?
Yeah.
Like there's got to be a purpose. So that if God would put that, like just literally use a whole chapter pretty much to talk about it, to explain about it, it has to have some type of purpose. And then the next chapter, you have this quote unquote like ungodly connection between the two.
In the New Testament, does it say there'll be no more line of Cain?
I don't recall, no.
Well, we know there isn't because
I
of the
thought it
blood.
said something like
No,
that.
it says there shall be no more Canaanite. It says that, but I don't know about anything about there shall be no more Cain or anything like that.
Yeah, on that, I have no idea.
But I've always believed that the great and magnificent things that the Bible seems to indicate. I mean, it just comes across as truth to me. There
No,
was
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it's not like a magnificent, all this other stuff. I'm just saying that it's interesting when, like when I learned it, we had to go to other sources. Like you had to go to Job to delineate and say, okay, these sons of God in Genesis chapter 6 are angels because Job says that these were, this meeting is in heaven, and obviously this is where like angels are. So that's a very good way to kind of like connect the two. But
Well, some versions say angels, though, so it depends on what version you're reading.
well, I mean, if you go to like the actual like a good translation, it'll say the sons of God.
What's
Like
the
it
Brethren
literally
say?
So
probably the same thing.
he's saying that, instead of looking at the direct context of Genesis chapter 6, in between Genesis chapter 5 and Genesis chapter 7, you're going way over here to this other book and getting context from that.
Yeah, and adding it in to make it. I mean, again, like I can see it. I saw it too. But it's interesting. Like if you were to just get like a brand new Christian and let them read it, there's no way that they would say, "Oh, these are angels having sex with humans."
I thought it was angels when I first read it, too.
You
No, you're
probably
saying, wait,
heard
hold on,
that
hold on,
before.
hold on. You're saying that you thought that this was angels having sex with humans the first time you ever read Genesis 6. That's what you're saying.
Isn't that the first mention of the sons
It
of God?
is, and that's almost impossible unless you had a preconceived notion because somebody told you something beforehand. There's no way you would ever do that.
Wasn't Adam God's son?
Yeah, I might have had someone tell me before I
Yeah.
read it for
That's
myself.
called poisoning the mind, poisoning the well.
Yeah, no, I mean, and so did I. I mean, that's literally what I was. I mean, I got a lot of my information from the stuff from Rob Skiba, and he makes a great, compelling argument. But it's
Exactly.
in
But
my
he's wrong.
mind, it's interesting when you pay attention to. See, that's even like what Alan said. Like you saw this other genealogy, but we really don't pay attention to it. Because it's Cain, it's icky, and we just it's interesting that God would put chapter 5 having two different genealogies, and one of them is of evil people and one of them is of the godly line that's going to bring, because again, we know the ending of the story. We know that Jesus, the Son of God, the true heir of all things, comes from this lineage. So when we bring that to that scripture, with that understanding, you can see that, okay, so you have these two genealogies. Obviously, one is not good and one is, godly.
So
So it's interesting.
are you saying that Cain's people saw the daughters of men?
Yeah, that would be the daughters of
So
men.
Cain's line is considered the sons of God.
No, that would be
No,
the good
Seth's
people.
line would be the
Yeah.
sons of God. Cain's line would be the daughters of men.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So there was obviously, something that wasn't supposed to be done
Right.
technically.
Mixing of the quote
Yeah,
unquote.
mixing of the bloodline.
Right.
But it's of humans, it's not of angels. Again, that's just another interpretation that
Yeah.
when that was brought to my attention, I was like, wow, that's so interesting. I've read this so many times and excluded, like Genesis chapter 6 is like all by itself, excluded from chapters 4 and 5. But when you read it all together, it seems to flow quite naturally.
Oh, dog, thank you. That means a lot because I'm
You know,
pretty
my
sure it
friend,
was me.
Jason, Hebrew root. He
Say that
believed
again?
Jason, the one that was on the way.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, Jason too. Yeah,
He actually believes that it's the Seth line and the Cain line, even though he's Hebrew roots. So not all Hebrew roots believe that it's fallen angels.
But no, I mean that is what it does. If you literally read Genesis like you're a complete noob from the beginning, and you get to chapter 4 and 5, you read about two different lineages. One is one, and the other is the other. And then it tells you in 6 that the two groups got together where apparently they weren't supposed to because, I didn't see any rules saying
Exactly.
they shouldn't, but they got together, and that was the problem. The problem was the believer was now with the unbeliever, or whatever, the cast out people, whatever the freak
Yeah,
happened
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just shows you that, that wasn't supposed to happen, but obviously we know it did. So, I mean, in my mind, it makes it more contextually in the argument. It flows nicer than going to another book and, especially going to a book outside the canon. Because again, like when you factor in the Book of Enoch, I mean, then of course that the interpretation that
Here's the deal, Zach. And I agree, you should just use the Bible. But the Bible, we already see that my interpretation and your interpretation are both they don't contradict Scripture. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Well, one of them would be they're completely different. I think
They're
that
completely
you can't.
different, but
Yeah, they wouldn't.
we know that one is true.
Yeah,
You would
one's
think that
right, of
if
course.
one was the prevailing truth, that other people would have written about it. And all that we find in anything ever written about that is that it was angels, that it was actually angels that came down. So that would
Well, I
lean
mean, just
towards
because. Mhm.
that interpretation. But
Well, I would say, you even talk about like preterism or futures. I mean, majority of every single person that ever wrote about eschatology, for the most part, especially in our day and age, is all futurist. So I wouldn't just say just because
I'm not
most
talking
people
about
see it.
I'm not talking about modern writing. I'm talking about Jewish writing, historical Jewish writing.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't really gather their interpretations to be the correct one, that's for
I'm
sure.
not saying that. I'm just saying you would think that if that was the line of thought there, that there would have been something written about it.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
no,
all.
of course.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that proves my position or disproves yours. I'm just saying.
I gotcha. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
You know,
you
there
definitely
might
have the weight of.
be. We just have a very limited sampling of
Yeah.
each writings.
Can
Yeah.
I ask
Yeah,
you?
the Bible's
Y'all
just
a question?
not very descriptive on it. It doesn't give us
Right.
enough.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Can I ask y'all a question real quick? Because so like let's suppose I said to you today, right now, for what and an angel came down from heaven. But let's suppose not today, but rather back in the day, back when the temple stood. Now, put yourself back in that time. Now it says, and an angel came down from heaven and gave me this message. Now, what does that mean to you? Because I heard Stacy say before, once upon a time, that you always come down from Jerusalem, right? You always come down. You always go up to Jerusalem. You come down, right? Same difference, right? Also, Jacob's ladder, like we talked about the other time, like you go up and he saw angels ascending and descending on this ladder or whatever, stairs. It's the temple. It's imagery of the temple. It's telling you about the priests going up and down.
Masons
Telling
are
you the
all
word.
about that ladder.
And that's what all of this is. So when an angel came down from heaven and told me such and such, like, to me, that's not like like I'm just chilling in my garden one day, raking the leaves, and then all of a sudden some dude just appears behind me and he's like, "What's up, dude?" you know, that would scare the crap out of me. I'd have a heart attack. Like, what? You can't just appear out of nowhere. Like, think about it. Anyway, I got a hair in my mouth, so.
The Masons are all about Jacob's ladder. It's in one of their rituals where it's in the center of the temple, and yeah, they're all about the temple, and but they take it figuratively for sure.
Right, but so the angels are the messengers, and that's why it says in Hebrews 1:5, right? He says, "Unto which of the angels have I ever said, to this day you'll be a son?" Yada yada yada. He's asking you a question. Is for real. What does he mean by that? Is he telling you about like, oh yeah, you should know about this? There, once upon a time, I told you about some supernatural dudes. Under which of those guys did I ever say? It's like, how am I supposed to know that kind of information, Lord? What is this, a trick question? What am I, Job? I don't know. Just think about Job. terribly sorry. All that was recorded.
And if I can get like a brief outline on the Book of Enoch 1. 1 through 10 deals with the whole creation from start to finish. And then from 10 on, it deals with what now?
It's been a while since I've gone through all of Enoch. I would have to go back and look at it.
Oh,
Okay.
but dude, we have
I
to
know
go
it's
through.
pretty deep too, though. It gets
We
what,
gotta find it.
what I like about it is in the later chapters when it talks about like the sun, what the sun does, and all that kind of stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah, dude, like you
There's
should
a
be
lot of
excited that we're trying to go over Enoch. Like you should be
I
like,
am.
I got
I've
every chapter for you already lined out. Like it's already prepared.
It's heavily flat earthy.
Gotta have your battle array laid out. You're about to defeat the great Albert. I'm just kidding. I'm not great. It's pretty shitty, actually. No, seriously. We're talking about Book of
So-
Enoch tonight. Let's continue. Come on.
So, okay, so Alan, you're under the impression that maybe the technology and all of the things that were well known, like the amount of evergreen trees and things like that. So they had a heavily superior knowledge than what we would believe that ancient man would have, right?
I could
And
go with
then
that.
later on in the Book of Enoch, they're talking about the chariots being hooked up to the sun and dragging it across the sky and stuff like that. That doesn't sound like, ancient technology, or so to me. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, if you believe the pyramids were built before the flood, even with our technology today, we can't duplicate what they did. The precision, the massive scale, it's pretty unbelievable.
There are some guys that believe that they know the secrets of like how to do it. I know there's this one guy that he builds crazy stuff all by himself.
In Florida.
Yeah, with
massive.
different stones and stuff. Yeah, I saw.
He lifts massive tons of stones all by
He lives
himself.
near where Edward Leedskalnin, near that, probably. Because there's
Yeah, I don't know
Coral
where he
Castle
lives.
with Ed Leedskalnin. That was amazing unto itself. But then there's also the other guy recently who might also be in Florida. Why both of them are in Florida?
It's in
That's
the
where
water.
the cool cats are.
They're
That's where the
using
cool
hacks.
cats are.
They're cheating. It's like Egypt. Oh, they built the pyramids.
It has to do with the ley lines.
The ley lines, it could. You know what the ley lines look like? I showed you that picture.
Georgia
I was
was
going to
on
link it
the
earlier.
33rd.
You know what the ley lines look like? Looks like the flower of life almost.
I thought Georgia was on the 33rd parallel,
It might be.
which would
What's a
make
ley line?
Where Jekyll Island is, isn't it? Right? It's in Georgia.
What's a ley line?
What's a ley line? That's like the energy grid of the earth. Like that's where like
Hmm.
all the power, super secret energy is. Like the ley lines. It's the
Well, there's-
energy grid of the earth.
There's videos
It's the
on
matrix field.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. But if you were to take that and I don't
where
know, I'd have
nodes
to
of
explain.
energy coalesce. Nodes of energy coalesce on these particular lines on this grid.
Gotcha.
Which is kind of similar, the Book of Enoch, with the emerald tablets of Thoth.
True.
Emerald tablets in the Book of Enoch.
Yeah, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Don't you know about them?
Hermes, Thoth. He has the emerald tablets, and he wrote them out. you know, and it has a lot of interesting information similar, I think, to the Book of Enoch.
Gotcha. I'm not familiar with those, no.
You can actually, you know, pull it up off the internet just like you can the Book of Enoch. Just type in Emerald Tablets.
Oh, okay. Is there any like good information in there?
Yeah, it's fascinating. It talks about these energy lines.
So I guess the idea is that that's what the Nephilim used to build the pyramids, I guess, as well.
That's possible.
Yeah, they would be on a ley line, I would think. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth, is that it?
Thoth. Thoth.
Yes, that's it.
Otherwise known as the Egyptian guy with the bird head.
Trismegistes.
Yes, that guy.
He's all in one. He's Hermes. He's Thoth. He's a tripart human being, or tripart something.
Well, it's just depending on who's talking about him. Is it Egyptians? Is it Greeks? Like, who's talking about the guy?
Are these real tablets like in a museum somewhere?
Yeah, there's one maybe.
I don't know.
Kind of like Enoch 1 is
Yeah,
legit.
no. Look,
Tablet
it's
1
called
is
the
legit.
look. It's called the Emerald Tablets
The
because
Emerald
they're supposedly written on these emerald tablets.
Atlantis.
Literally.
They're supposedly in Atlantis, but we know of the Emerald Tablets, and this is what they say.
Yeah.
It also looks like the Tree of Life on here.
Yes, heavily. Mm-hmm.
Tree of Life, as in like the Kabbalah.
I don't know. I think so. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Kabbalah, the Zohar, you know, the knowledge that Enoch talks about.
I just think, like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me, honestly. Like, just as a real person to another person, it doesn't make sense to me that this is the story. That once upon a time, the world started, God made some people, they screwed up, and then all of a sudden, 5 minutes later, some evil angels decided they were going to be like, you know what, screw you, dude. I'm out of here. I'm going to go in, you know. And
Well,
then all this stuff happens,
it makes
you
perfect
know.
sense. It makes
And
perfect.
then it's like,
It makes
I
perfect
don't know.
sense.
Forgive me.
It makes perfect sense. You think God is just an alien, you know, and he came down in an alien ship, you know, and then there are, you know, his crew, and that's what happens. That's the Anunnaki.
Yeah, I could once believe that, but now that I know God and all these things, like, no, none of it. No, this is all ridiculousness. Like, what are you guys talking about? this is all so silly. Like, oh, I wish you
What
could
if
all
the
see it.
language of God being all knowing, all seeing, all powerful, what if that's hyperbole?
Could be.
Disturbing thought, right?
Totally.
He creates us, and then he just lets
Have fun,
the. I saw earlier that someone's playing a game of Jumanji, and that they hope the game ends quickly.
That's a good one. It's like, I wasn't anticipating the game of Jumanji to last so short of a time. What the heck? No, good interesting thing. But no, like, I really can't see like how it's all of a sudden talking about some sort of a being that double crop whatever. Like, it just doesn't even fit the entire story, is my point.
Do the Egyptians have a devil?
No, they're the ones using sorcery and magic and all these things, but
They
these are
are
all
the
just
devil.
baloney. They're all just
Do most religions have a devil?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like this is
Quetzalcoatl,
what the other nations would do.
Quetzalcoatl is a giant feathered serpent, but some think of him as good, so I don't know. But
How about the Muslim faith? Did they have a devil in the Quran?
I don't
yes,
know. That's way after the fact, though. This is way after the fact. So I don't even know if you can even use that.
I forgot what his name is, but yeah, they do have that.
Probably Muhammad.
He is a jinn.
Zach.
Mohammed.
They do have the jinn and all that, like, but like
Blaspheme the prophet, Zechariah. Shame on you.
The jinn is the devil, or is that
I think
good?
that's like the evil demon.
no,
Demons
the
get
the
genies.
jinn are like the equivalent of demons.
Okay.
Except they like maybe might help you out or something because they might like give you something you want. Like hence the genie, the jinn, they're the same thing. Genie's
Okay,
jinn.
Google. Who is the Muslim's devil?
Here are some results.
Ibis. That's right, Ibis.
You're talking about Iblis, yeah, Iblis. Or is
Is
it
that-
is it Ibis or is it Iblis?
Iblis. I don't have my glasses on.
Fair enough. I only remember that because of Diablo. Props to Blizzard Gaming.
I don't remember Ibis in there. I remember Baal. I hated that guy.
There's
Like,
definitely Iblis. Like, check it out. You were saying, Rob?
what about like Egyptian and Greek gods, Alan?
About
Are them?
Who are they?
There was Hermes, there was Isis, and there was Osiris.
Oh yeah. So who would those three be? I mean, I don't know if you were gonna be like evil,
That's
wicked
the
dude.
divine trinity. That's the trinity.
Okay. Okay.
Egyptian.
Well, you also have Noah, his wife, and one of their rebellious sons, maybe Ham,
I see.
maybe Ham, perhaps.
I'm just
Who
wondering
did
if these other
become
ones are
Mizraim?
real.
Is Egypt? Isn't Mizraim Egypt? That's one of Ham's. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here.
I believe that there was definite influence from the heavenly beings that caused men to worship these quote unquote false gods.
Well, yeah. I mean, or were they real gods? Though? I mean, are they like real entities?
Like the statue and stuff like that, or no? I mean,
No. I mean, like Osiris and
like their
this
name.
Thoth, and not just that their names are real, that they're really a spiritual being in heaven or whatever, around God or
I believe that.
created
Yeah,
by God.
definitely demonic and angelic force behind it.
Oh no, not even demonic. I'm saying, are there some that are just like positive as well?
Well, angels are just like, they have the ability to choose just like we do. They can choose to be good or bad. I think
Do you think there'd be good gods other than?
good little G's.
Yeah.
Sure.
So are there good nations and bad nations?
Yeah, exactly, Stacey.
The women began to bear giants, and they devoured the whole earth. I don't know. I'm just saying. Think about it, metaphorically speaking. Giants, nations devouring the earth, killing, bloodshed. I don't know. Same difference. I don't know. Is it trying to be metaphorical? When was it written? These are the things I'm trying to work out.
Skeletons that they're digging up and making YouTube videos about. What about all those things?
About what things?
The giant skeletons that they're digging up and making YouTube videos all over,
Oh yeah, there's all the fake videos about that, but there are actual news articles from back in the day saying, I mean, unless of course those are fake too. But I I have no reason to doubt that there were legit giants back in the day. I just don't believe the giants were so big because of supernatural reasons. That's literally the only difference. The only difference is the supernatural mating part. That's the only part. everything else is like the same. Right? Because if you take a cat and a cat, what do you expect to get? A cat, right? And if you take a cat and something else and you try to mate it, what do you
Well, the
expect to
Bible
get?
is clear that things
Nothing.
reproduce things after their own kind.
Right? I'm just saying, like, don't you think it's weird though? Like, if you plant something, you expect to get that back, right? So, but no, the Bible says you plant the seed dies, and it produces much fruit. You're the fruit. Whoever's making all that noise with their phone, like, please stop
Sorry.
doing it. I love you still. I don't know. It just makes the recordings very bad. It's like, so. But if you want to say something, I'll be quiet now. Sorry.
Well, the Bible seems to indicate that things produce after their own kind. So, like Albert is saying, a cat will produce another cat, a dog will produce another dog, a man will produce another man. So, when you have this idea of Nephilim coming, you have, oh well, they can change into the form of a man and reproduce, but then wouldn't that be something that's, if it has some type of spiritual nature to it, being from the fallen angel part, wouldn't that be something that's producing something not after its own kind?
I don't see it that way. I see angels or supernatural beings as supernatural men.
Oh,
I
that's right.
think,
I forgot all about that. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
so they didn't have to. I agree with the guy that came on, how he said that they didn't take the form of men. They are men. They're just
Okay.
supernatural,
Okay.
spiritual.
Ken, I think.
Yeah, Ken. Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
I defeat myself again, I guess. If you can reference Ken, damn it. Go ahead. Ken, if Ken listens to this, he's gonna be cracking up. Go ahead.
And and some people argue, some people have, there's two different views on where it says, let us make man in our image. Some say, hey, that's the Trinity talking to each other. Others say that it's God talking to the sons of God who are like men, spirit, they're like him, but they're just spiritual and supernatural. And he's telling, hey, let us make man in our image. I've seen it both ways. Can't prove one or the other, but Zach, have
Now,
you
when
seen
it comes
that, or that Hebrew? I mean, what the original text actually indicates?
in that passage there,
Yeah, let us make man in our image. Is he talking about? Is it just God talking there, or is he
well, I
talking?
mean, I'm not sure who in the Hebrew understanding is, but I would say that most Christian commentators throughout forever, pretty much, most likely would show that that's a Christophany or Christophany, whatever you call it.
Right.
So definitely not
I
that
mean,
many people would say
right.
angels.
Because Jesus said we would be like the angels at the resurrection. Um,
See, we will be like the angels in what way? That's one of the verses I like to bring up. Unlike, we will be like which angels? The supernatural kind or the higher upper class priest kind?
no, you're going to be
They can no longer die because
you're going
they
to
don't
be
have the same marriage laws and rules as everybody else.
you're going to be raised as a Pharisee. When you get resurrected, you'll be a Pharisee.
No, because if I was one of those, then I'd probably get destroyed. And I would never see you again. And then you'd be like, poor Albert.
You should have listened to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, damn it.
I told him.
I warned him. Hey, at least I'm asking questions. I'm open to being defeated. It's fine. I don't mind losing. Just saying. This is all very interesting stuff. That's why we're going over it, you know. Why was the Book of Enoch even written in the first place? Does anybody consider that? Like, why did somebody even write that? Why would they write that? It wasn't clearly, obviously, it wasn't Enoch himself who written it because.
Isn't the reason given in the Book of Enoch?
What's that?
Isn't the reason actually given in the Book of Enoch about
It
why?
might be. I don't even remember that part, but it might be. But my question is, why was it written? Like, why were all these books written? I mean, I can see from reading some of these books why they were written. They're trying to give you an account of what happened. For the New Testament, at least. And then the Old Testament is all the old law. So, like,
So then in our normal canon, we have God really revealing himself in stories about men's lives.
yeah.
But in the Book of Enoch, it seems to just rise completely above that. And it's just looking at it from a totally different perspective. I'm not saying that's wrong, but I mean, we learn through David's sin, we learn through his anguish and for his waiting upon the Lord and for his, running from Saul for his life. We see his faith increase. We see Joseph being thrown into the pit, being put in prison and then becoming second in command. We see these lives of men, and God is writing a story using their lives. But the Book of Enoch doesn't have any of that nature to it, it seems.
Unless, of course, the angels in the Book of Enoch are men. Like, think about it. Earlier when we were reading chapter 8, 7, 7, 8, 9, those, right in there, like somewhere in there was a nice sweet spot. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly why we're going over this. Like, this is perfectly fitting with my full preterism view. Like, please do keep reading. I was like, no way. This is in Enoch. This is crazy. But that's funny because why would it be in Enoch? Because if Enoch was written after 70 AD, well, that's why. Or durr. But if it was written before 70 AD, now that's more impressive. I don't know when it was written. I forget. Before or after 70 AD. Which one was it? Was it before? Was it AD or was it BC?
My understanding is it was in fragments in BC, and then in AD it was sort of put all together and the fragments were filled in.
Okay, so it was supposedly there in the BCs.
Yeah, it seems to indicate around 300 BC is what they say on the Wiki
Okay,
source.
well that's very interesting.
But like Stacy
Before
was
the
saying,
BCs, that's super interesting. That's why
the,
every time your bird goes off, I know it's super interesting. The bird knows.
the book of parables, they say it was probably the first century BC. The rest of the book is around 300 BC. So all of it was before Christ, is what the scholars say. We don't know for sure, but
Well, the fragments that we can,
yeah,
yeah. Which, have you ever looked to see which they have and what's mostly just comes from the Ethiopian Bible?
Not exactly, no.
Huh?
Do they sell Ethiopian Bibles?
Probably. think they might use the King James.
It says no Hebrew version is known to have survived.
Wait, did you say that no heathen version has
Hebrew,
survived?
no Hebrew version. They found it in Greek and Latin.
Greek and Latin. Okay. All right.
But scholars agree that it was probably written in either Aramaic or Hebrew originally, but we don't have that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at these pre-flood giants in the rocks. They're pretty astonishing.
Oh, you're not still looking at those, are you? Dang it.
I just started.
It's like, oh no, now you're gonna go on a rabbit trail. Sorry, I'm so sorry, bro.
Yeah, you led me down the trail.
It's okay. You have to see it to believe it.
Well, this one they had shown an elephant, dolphin, and now they show a camel. And this camel this camel. I mean, it doesn't look any more. It doesn't get much more real than this huge rock formation that looks like a camel.
And it's it's a possibility though.
I mean, and there's hundreds of these different ones.
Supposedly. Yeah.
No, these are real.
Again, are they? We'll find out. You got to show it. You didn't show it, and you got to show the picture.
Okay, let's see if I can find it on Google Earth
If I get a
first.
copyright strike, it's on me. Like, there's no reason this camel picture should be a copyright strike.
I'll find a non-copyright picture of it.
No, there's just doesn't matter. But definitely show the picture.
I'm guessing it must be photoshopped.
Well, most pictures are photoshopped.
Let's see if I can find some more details here. Nature. Let's see.
Give us the picture.
Yeah, I can show the picture.
I'm
Let
gonna
me
get
just get.
so bored if you don't give us something to do. You know, I'm just saying. From our perspective.
Yeah, I'll pull up
We're
the
just
picture.
waiting on this picture, and then you're gonna be like, "I'm gonna do some other thing." Like, don't do that. Just
I'm trying to get just so it shows the picture only, not everything else.
If you're going to show something other than the camel after this, could you not tell me what it is and let me look at it and see,
What you think it is? Yeah. Okay,
Well-
so I got just the camel up here.
Mhm.
I'm thinking it's
yeah,
photoshopped.
that is definitely photoshopped, 100,000%. I would say that's photoshopped because that is a spitting image of the cigarette pack camel.
Does that camel have eyelashes?
Yeah.
It's the camel logo. Okay, just letting you know. Cigarette smoker here. Once upon a time, that's a camel. It's camel cigarettes for the win.
Okay, so I haven't found that on Google Earth yet, but let's see if I can find another one for Stacy, and then you tell me
All
what
right,
it
yeah,
is.
this one I'm not gonna say anything this time because he asked me.
Let me pull up another image here. You guys
Is it fun
continue on.
game?
I'll find you another one here.
Oh no, this is a fun game. We're having fun. I don't know. Unless somebody wants to say something, go for it. See, nobody wants to say anything. We were all waiting on you, dog.
Oh, it takes a moment to pull them up here. Oh.
But I'm telling you, all those pictures of all those mountains that are supposedly having giants in them and stuff, like, those are all fake. All of them. Like, literally, Every single one of them. All of them. They're all fake.
Okay. This has. I haven't. It already tells what it is. I'll have to find a different picture. Hang on.
There were never people walking on the earth that were so big that when they fell down and died, they became a mountain range. That's ridiculous. That's my personal opinion, though. So sorry if anybody believed in mountain ranges being dead giants. That's just silly.
Well, you've not seen the documentary There Are No Trees.
Oh no, I'm the one who linked that documentary to y'all. That's I saw that documentary, but no. Yes, but no. Like I could agree with certain aspects of that documentary, but no. Overall, no. Not true.
Okay, so here's another picture, and then tell me what it is or isn't.
Okay, here we go. Well, I can already see what that's supposed to be, and that's very convincing, but how many people over the ages carved it and cheated? Anybody go ahead? You can guess, because I already know exactly what it is.
Kind of like an elephant, but it looks more like a mountain to me, like a rock formation that the tide swishes up against.
Right, because it only looks like an elephant from this angle. Go to the
That-
other side. Does it still look like an elephant if you take a photograph from the other side?
I doubt it.
I don't think it does. It only looks like an elephant from that side.
So I'll get a few more here.
I know, that's the beauty of this. Like, you should always have a few more, but it's fun to eviscerate them, isn't it? Because you're like, dang, you guys are right. Sorry. Then again, you
And
could always be like,
what
you
is
guys
this
are so
supposed to
wrong.
like prove or whatever, or not prove, but I guess just to show that there's like some ancient people that built these things.
That these animals were trapped and became stone like the fallen angels.
Yeah,
Right.
this is like the pre-flood world, the supposed like,
Interesting.
So these were like their pets, I guess, got frozen in rock too.
giant things so happily conveniently get frozen. So it's like, oh, that's an elephant.
All right, I think I got another one here. Oh, this one, people painted the rock, so.
Slight cheating. Slight
Right.
cheating on this one.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's one light cheating for sure.
It could be real, but maybe this is the one that really matters. That looks like a pile of rubble. Oh my gosh, that looks like it's wrecked.
To me, I won't say what it looks like to me, but what would you guys say it looks like?
Those look like fish, like eels.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It
That's what I
does.
thought too, like eels.
It definitely looks like eels. 1, 2, 3 eels. Do you see? Well, actually, what?
I
Yeah,
see
3
say
eels.
one for sure.
What? There's 3 eels in
Yeah,
this
no,
picture.
3 of them.
I don't see the third one.
No, there's actually maybe 4. Yeah, there's 4. I see a 4th.
Yeah, I can see the 4th one too, with no white in his eyes.
Yeah, since they didn't paint that other eel, I guess.
But no, did you see the 3 at least? You saw the 3 at least, right?
So let me see. There's quite a few more here.
Oh, come on. You got to do better than eels.
Okay, let's see what we can get that's better. Okay, this one's pretty good.
All right. Why'd you stop sharing? You're not sharing.
Oh, I will again once I get there. It takes me a moment to get the image.
Couldn't share the screen the whole time. You had to stop it. What's all that about?
He wants to hide the name from it.
Oh, you definitely have like a very, very clickety. Now I'm hearing myself.
He doesn't want us to be influenced by a preconceived suggestion.
I don't want anybody to be Yeah, no, I definitely don't. But who were you talking about, Stacy? Rob?
No, just all of us.
No, he said
Oh, yeah.
he. What do you mean by he?
I'm not
Me?
sure.
When you
Uh,
said he's hiding the video, he's not sharing it all the time. I'm
uh,
saying that's why.
Oh, yeah. See, now
yeah,
that one's obvious. That looks like hacks. That looks like somebody did that on purpose recently. That's not even. I wouldn't even consider that one.
someone
that
of
looks
this
like
one Photoshop
that
too.
looks like I could have done that last week, and it
You know
looks
what that
impressive.
reminds me of? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them
That is exactly what this picture is trying to tell you. See, perfect, Stacy. That's great. See, so you can slice through the bull crap immediately, but only when our forces combine. We all have to work together and form Voltron. All right, let's go. Next one. Next, whatever you got. Come on. You're supposed to. We're talking Enoch here. You gotta give us something good, like some super huge giants or something. Like that's what got us onto this whole picture thing. I think.
I was looking. There's some islands, or not islands, but sleeping giant mountains there. How about you guys, actually? Oh, that different angle on that elephant. I think you might be interested to see what the other angle looks like.
If it looks like an elephant, I'm gonna be so salty. Like it looks like an elephant. It's like, all right, that's cheating. That's hacks. They carved it yesterday.
So it's not complete to the other side, but it's definitely around the corner a little bit.
Okay, that's from the no. See, that's cheating too. Again, it looks like an elephant from that side, and that actually doesn't even look like the same rock formation. Show me both side by side. I don't believe that's even the same.
It is.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
If it is, it does look like a ginormous elephant,
But
and
it's
its
the same
trunk is
side.
totally calcified.
Yeah, it's the same
and-
side here, but a little bit more this side now.
So you're telling me this is a ginormous mastodon, which has got frozen in time, and now he's a mountain because he got covered in the flood.
Except this one can drink water.
Well,
Elephants can.
apparently he got stuck in the mud, and that's why he's got this wicked band. Like, look at the band on that, though. If that was an elephant and it did get stuck, I mean, look at it. There's a band of white there. What's all that about? Volcanic ash, maybe? Something caused dude to not freaking exist, and then he got buried with all the schmutz on his head. Look at how it is. I mean, it's a perfect. It looks like something might have gotten murked there, but
Let's see if I can
again,
find a couple more.
you do have to ask yourself, like, why does it look like this? Was this really actually an elephant? It's like, what if it was? Like, this is an elephant here that's exposed. This is a pre-flood elephant. This is how big it was. What would you do with that if you saw an elephant that big? Would you be like, hey, come here, buddy? Like, I need you to plow my garden. He gonna do that for you? I don't think so. I'm just saying, like, what would you do with an elephant that big? You know how big that elephant is in that picture you just showed? Think about these things, because these are things that matter.
All right, this one might be a little more tough. We'll see if anyone has any opinions on what it is.
Oh, it's dead, Bessie. Look, this monster, she's dead. She's dead, Kenny.
Nope. Haven't got a clue.
Oh, what do you think they name this island?
Old Nessie.
It's in Hawaii.
Why? Oh dear.
Alligator.
No, Elephant,
Right.
Elephant Island.
That's an
not
elephant.
elephant.
So how about two more?
That elephant looked like it was starving to death.
Yeah, I should have known better. We were talking about elephants. Dang it. That's a good lesson of the Bible. Like, what were we just talking about? Exactly. We were talking about elephants, so why do you think I changed the subject all of a sudden? We were still talking about elephants. Good lesson. But seriously, my God, whatever you're doing, the noise is just like
I think that's
So,
Zach's
yeah, no, it is.
is
I'm
walking.
all
I'm
the
going to
time.
bed,
It's just
actually.
like
All right.
most terrible noise ever.
Fine.
All
I'll
Oh,
right.
leave.
All right, we
I
love
don't
you,
know
Zach.
what it is. It just needs to like, no, you don't need to leave. God damn it.
Well,
You
it's
just need to
past
stop
midnight. So I'm about
with
ready
the
to leave.
freaking noise that's like, my goodness. It was a terrible noise. Don't you? You couldn't even hear what was going on.
He
Like,
put it
trust me,
hard
you
in there.
listen to the video when this comes live, and you'll be like, "Oh my God, you're right. That was unbearable." You're like, "Thank God, Albert said, like, please stop that." And then you're like, "Oh, everybody left."
Okay, here's a pretty good one.
Okay, this will be my last one.
Okay.
How dare you?
I'm trying to find ones that are only fairly real, but some of them I think were definitely photoshopped.
You're trying to find ones that are not photoshopped.
Right, yeah.
Okay, this is like a cave painting.
No, this is formation in Utah, I think.
Is that an alien?
It's just an evil face carved. What is it, like the devil's face? Is that what he looked like? He's got some big Jew nostrils or something. Like, I don't even know. He's got some big nostrils.
It's called what is it
Looks
called?
like some Edomite caves.
It's called A Face in the Rocks in Ute Valley Park in Colorado.
In the Grand Canyon or near the Grand Canyon?
Let's see. Ute Valley Park, wherever that is. Valley Park.
Yeah, I have no idea where that is.
It's near Colorado Springs, Colorado, looks like. So
Oh, Colorado Springs, where Nikola Tesla had his.
gosh, down for a little bit, yeah.
My ninja. It's been a while since we've had a one-on-one. Don't tell everybody that. That wasn't recorded.
Are we still recording?
Damn right we are. Now everybody knows.
All right.
And we're going to continue doing this. So it's fun this way. Come on.
Let's see. Do we want to keep looking at pictures or want to do something different?
It's up to you. I'll do whatever you'd want to do.
Let's see. What do we want to do? Well,
We
that
can
was
literally
a.
do anything. We can talk about anything.
What do we want to talk about? Well, I'm definitely interested in keep going through Enoch because I remember I went through Enoch one time. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this is a full preterist book.
Ah, but whoa, really? You thought it was it was a full preterist book? Like what? I'd be like, I should have. You should have told me this information like 5 years ago. They probably did.
Yeah, I made videos on it that Enoch's a full preterist thing, but I got to make more videos sometime or another.
No, maybe it's not about the videos you made. I'm talking about the times you were on the Hangout. Like, seriously, like, do you remember what year it was when I first joined y'all in your group on Chris's channel?
It had to be like 3 years ago, wasn't it? 4 years ago.
Yeah, that's what it was like 3-4 years ago. But it's been some years since those years, hasn't it? No, I mean, it's been at least 3 or 4 years. You're right. But seriously, what does Chris have on his channel? Where did Chris even go? Chris is gone. Sorry, Chris. If you still listen, which I know you don't, because you don't.
I think, I wonder if he still has his YouTube channel up.
I don't know. I think he does, but he doesn't ever come anymore. He's not coming ever again. Unless somebody convinces him somehow to come again, he's never coming again. That's
He
my
might.
honest opinion.
Might.
He has no reason to come again. Like,
I think he deleted his YouTube channel.
well, he might have. If he did, then what was he even doing in the first place?
Yeah, I don't.
With all of you guys. I mean, like, seriously, if
Oh, no,
Chris...
it's still up there. It's still up there.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Like, why would he delete it? That makes no sense. Like, why would he do that?
Actually,
It's
1
not the
year
Chris
ago.
I know. The Chris I know would have left it. He would have told me, like,
1 year ago, he had a
Albert,
Bible.
calm down.
I think you might be able to do voices.
He probably can.
No, you can. He had a good imitation of his voice there.
Well, because I was trying to say what he would say. Like, he would tell me. He'd be like, Albert, calm down. Right?
Yeah, I think that's not the first time you've done voices. I think you got the gift.
I do voices when they're necessary.
But yeah, he made a video a year ago. It says Friday night Bible study.
And what does it say in that? That's a year ago. That's when he came on. That's when, like, dude, he was all into, like, demons and like evil Satanology, Book of Satan stuff. Like, I was like, dog, really? This is all the exact same time where I was getting into the opposite, right? So funny.
Yeah, I think he was just tired of debating.
He was tired of debating. Really, that's what you think?
Yeah.
Do you know the guy? That's so funny. Do you know the guy? I'm gonna say this while I'm on the air because anybody can check it out. But the guy, good news for you.
Yeah.
You messaged him like a week on one of his videos.
Mm-hmm.
A week ago. Yeah, I lit a flame under his ass. Sorry.
Did he like start like replying to you or?
I don't know. I might have said something that was like somewhat mean. I don't know.
Oh, gotcha. Well, he was pretty short with me too.
But no, I mean, because I saw that you had asked him something beforehand, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm not even interested." And then that's when I lit the flame under his head.
Oh, gotcha.
It's like, oh, really? Really? So you're gonna tell me all this stuff you want me to pay attention to, but you don't got time for somebody to float you two verses to consider. Does it sound familiar?
I haven't seen that comment. I did see that there was a comment to the comment.
But seriously, I lit him on fire, and I was like, "Sorry, dude, but like, you got to get burned. Like, you're such being a d-bag right now. Like,
Yeah, let's see.
so you don't have to agree with full president, but for you to say what you said, like, That ain't gonna fly my kite. Though.
Has he been making more videos? I haven't seen anything in a while.
He's making all sorts of videos against full preterism. He can do that all day long. But what he said there in that video, that's why I burned him.
He said that was going to be his last video on full preterism, I think.
Well, that was my whole point was that he was like, he told you specifically. I know that you were the only person that he was talking to in this video because you were the first person to comment.
Right.
And then he was like, I'm not even interested in talking about full preterism anymore. Like, I wasted 4 years. And that's where I lit the fire under his ass. And I was like, you know what, bro? You're not going to make it very far if you're going to be like, oh, you want to talk about it. Like, so,
Yeah, I did think that was a pretty short comment by him.
it's like, bro, seriously. Like, you want to really talk
I
about
thought I was
something?
trying to be nice, just, okay, can I, show you a couple verses. But the funny thing was,
You were being nice. You were the nice guy, and I'm the evil guy. I come after you, even though we're part of the same crew. I came after you. I saw your comment, and I was like, "Wow, you're gonna like jerk Rob like that?" Like Rob asked you a simple question. He's like, "Let me show you 2 verses." He's like, "Oh, it's so stupid. I don't want to even." It's like, bro, really? You're not even gonna look at 2 freaking verses? Like, my God. Who's the ignorant one here? You. You're the freaking one who screwed up. Like, I'm not even trying to be mean here, but you're the asshole.
well, the funny thing was, so I wanted to show him 2 verses, right? And so I went to his other video, and guess what 2 verses he looked at right off the bat on his video?
Oh no, which one's
The 2 verses I wanted to show him.
That is so epic.
Right,
That's even more epic.
and so I asked him about it, and then he responded.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, it was great. I was like, oh, this is meant to be, but he
This
did.
gotta be. Yes, it's almost gotta be. Like, no way.
He did
There's
have
no
an
way.
interesting response. So
What was his response?
because I showed him Matthew 24:21 and Daniel 12:1, I'm like, how do you have 2 times that were never could be, And how did he? Gosh, what was his response? He was saying Matthew 24:21 was 70 AD, and then Daniel 12:1 was, I think, I can't remember if he said that was 70 AD too. Yeah, I think he did say it was 70 AD too. But then I'm gonna have to press him some more on it, because that's the time when it says Michael stands up and the books are judged. He has a gap, kind of like Matthew, the other our Matthew.
Right. And see, to me, like, I don't know, man. Like, when Michael, the great prince who stands watch over your people, I mean, that could be, it could be Jesus, it could be somebody else, like the high priest, whatever. The point is, it all still happened back then. Like, there's no amount of changing that it all happened back then. Like, it was all back then, 70 AD. Like, that's where most of this stuff happens. Yes, I could, like you, Rob, we're the only 2 capable of being like, all right, well, maybe it could go a little bit farther. 73, maybe even 90, 100 maybe. But it really can't go that far because the freaking ages and telling people that they're going to see these. I mean, I don't know. There's certain things we have to work out.
Yeah, I should definitely try to work on doing an Enoch full preterism video for Alan. I think maybe he'd watch that when I made that way back when, but I don't know.
But no, I mean, I used to love the Book of Enoch like so much.
Yeah, me
And then
too.
I went literally overnight to almost hating the Book of Enoch. You can actually hear it in the recordings. If Alan, you're listening to this, or anybody else who subscribes to the
Got
Fallen
to go
Angels,
back to Commandment Keepers to find your Enoch
definitely,
videos.
definitely go back to then, and then also the earliest of videos on my side, because I might have even had that as part of the Flat Earth videos. Like, shit. I don't know. But you do remember those days. That's how I even met you first.
Yeah, How many videos do you have up now?
I don't know, maybe 100 something, 200.
Gotcha.
Not many.
What are your
I
first
mean,
videos
literally.
about?
All right, so look, you can calculate this. It's been 3 videos a week for 3 years, so that's how many.
Then you'd have to have a lot.
It's about 300, 200, 100 videos. Not
Yeah,
100, 300 maybe.
yeah, 254 it says. Should go back to like the very first ones.
Yeah, dude, go back to it, dude. You know, my favorite is my old one where I have my ducks still because they got murdered. They got
What?
murdered by evil creatures in the night.
Coyotes?
I don't know what the hell it was, but whatever it was, if I ever see it, should I kill it? You tell me. Should I have mercy on this creature if I ever see it, or should I murder it because it murdered my people? It murdered my chickens and ducks. Should I have mercy on it and let it go, or should I kill it instantly?
Okay, so the Flat Earth, the saga continues. Those were about 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's way. But there's a video where I'm showing like it has like numbers. Like if you look on my like way back in the beginning, it doesn't even have like a title or a name. It's just it's like all like numbers and stuff.
Oh,
Like
yeah, I see that there.
yeah. So can you play that video on here? Like play it here. You can see. Can
Yeah,
you play it for everybody? Because it's my video. Like there's the copyright is mine. So,
yeah.
but it's so retarded. Look, this is my attitude back then. What year is this?
2014.
2014? Are you kidding me?
Mm-mm.
That's the one where with the freaking what I just told you to play.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
Wow.
I can find Zoom again.
That's insane, dude. That's 6 years ago. Holy.
Is this like a burial spot for him?
What? What are you looking at? No,
But the-
but no, look, all right, so do you see where that is, where that first thing is? I know exactly what tree cluster that is. That's in my
okay.
backyard. So if you go straight back to the left, all the way, like you make a diagonal from those trees,
Mm-hmm.
right there at the very corner where your mouse is, that's where my favorite duck is buried.
Gotcha.
All the rest I just gave to the forest.
Uh,
But no, that's where the kiwis are. But the kiwis are at the tree cluster that you have. That's where the kiwis are.
gotcha. So did you want me to play this one?
Yeah, because it's so funny. It's like this is still what I kind of think. Like this is my flat Earth argument. So you tell me.
Okay.
Okay, just to prove my point, I just want to show you. Come on now. Alright. Bottle of water. Notice, the water remains level. No matter how I tilt it, no matter what I do, it always goes back to the flat level position. Does it not? Is this not scientifically provable? Look, it's flat. Flat still. Still flat. No matter how I turn it, no matter what I do, it's flat. Alright. So now we're going to take the water off. And this is my flat Earth model, though very crappy. As you can see, it's very flat. It's an upside down frisbee. Put some water into it. Water dunced. Alright, notice how the water stays within the bounds of the ice wall. Alright, now watch the ball earth. This is what happens when water goes on the ball earth. Alright, you see that? See that? See how it's flowing that way? Alright. Users just lost, fools. It's all over. It's flat.
That's a classic video. That should have way more views.
But see, the reason it doesn't have so many views is because I named it something so retarded.
Oh, yeah, it's just got the date on there, doesn't
But
it?
hey,
Yeah, and then 17,
you're
17, 17.
if you ever want to use that footage for anything, you can use it for whatever you want. I'll allow it. I will allow it.
That is great. I'm surprised no one's used that yet.
No, but I seriously thought was the footage that was the footage where I showed. There's another footage where I have a different thing where I'm like, you want ducks? You want to see ducks in the water? And I'm like, bam, there's ducks in the water, and like 1 second you're looking at a little like kiddie pond, and then all of a sudden I put the duck in there. I did like the cutscene shit. There's another video. You gotta find it.
Boat over the horizon curvature, probably.
I don't know. Yeah, it might be. It's very old. It's definitely something like if it has a different thumbnail, it's back near the other one. Yeah, that's exactly the video. I don't know, man. Like it doesn't really matter to me what the shape of the Earth is, but I still think it's flat.
I definitely think it's round, but I would bet.
Oh, I mean, it is round, but it's also flat.
The only thing I wonder is if it's geocentric or not. I know
It is.
Alan thinks it's stationary.
Well, dude. Well, then there we go. Like it is. It's stationary. Like the Earth is not moving. Everything moves around us.
I think the moon going in front of it proves that it has to be rotating, though.
What? The moon is the one. That's why they call you a lunatic, because you believe what the moon says.
I do want to read that tablet thing at top, though. See what's in there.
Oh, wow.
$3.5 million views of the moon going in front of the Earth. It's only 20 seconds long, though.
Oh, yeah, this footage again. Yeah, no, I remember when somebody was like, oh, look at this epic footage. It's a Tesla in space. It's like, look, I like Tesla and all, but that's Tesla is not in space. Like, look, not true.
I'm saying it was true, but why would they put a car in space? That's crazy.
Exactly why it's not true.
Okay, I mean, let's see. The thumbnail in one video has the Tesla thing being in Mars.
I'm just saying, as a not believer in the fact that Earth is I don't believe that people can leave the Earth. Period. Like I don't care what it is. When you can't go to Mars, you can't go to the moon. The only way you can go to the moon is if the moon is within the Earth's atmosphere. In which case, I'm still right. The Earth is flat, and the moon's right there. Right? see, even if you did go to the moon, I win. It's because it's right there. It's right over there. Not even that far away.
I think it's got to be pretty far away.
That's why it's all pockmarked like that. Why? Because one day all the fountains of the great deep burst. I don't know. That's just one explanation.
They sent that car all the way to Mars. Is that right?
They said they just sent it out into space. I didn't think they sent it to Mars. But if they send it to Mars, that's another problem I have with the whole space travel thing. Every single time they're like, you know what, we're going to slingshot this thing and it's going to get there right at the same time this thing is boomeranging right around this way. It's like, what? How y'all be calculating this? Like, you just going to be like, oh, let's shoot it out on December whatever friggin' 2nd, and it's going to go out there and by like April 17th, 1945, it's going to hit this same thing, like right on point. Like, I don't even get what's going on here. It don't even make no sense.
It says it went by Mars 8 months later.
Say what?
Yeah, it says it went by Mars 8 months later.
8 months to get to Mars. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
Wow. Whew. So I guess we could get there, but like, really, do you really think like the God that you believe in? Do you think he's gonna let you leave the Earth and go to Mars and start some more bull crap?
Well, full
I don't think
preterism is
so.
true,
I
probably.
don't think so. There's nowhere in the Bible where it says you can even leave the Earth at all. Like, what
Yeah,
is this shenanigans?
full preterism is true. I would say we'll be able to go. It's going to get like Star Trek one day.
Dude, that would be kind of awesome, but at the same time, not really.
Because you're
Because then you'd
exploring
have
and don't find anybody.
Because then you would have to worry about supernovas and all this wormholes and stuff. It's like, oh dear, they were right. Son of a bee. Now we do have to worry about these things. God, why do you have to be so cruel and create black holes that'll devour entire galaxies? Like, how is that nice?
It makes it interesting. If it's always the same old, then it's like,
Just saying, people are always questioning God because of things like this.
true. People are always questioning God for sure. All right. Well, I think I'm going to call it a night so I can get some sleep. Do have to work in the morning. Still with me? Do I need to come over?
No, you don't. No, I'm still with you. It's cool. It's cool. I know all about. Sorry, daylight savings is throwing me off. Like, I don't have to save daylight, so I don't know why we're trying to save it. My bad.
Yeah, if it's up to me, I'd stay up all night, but then I know I wouldn't feel too good in the morning.
Yeah. Well, as long as you stay clear of, the ailments of the world, we're good.
All right. Yep. Doing that. So, all right, brother. Lots of love.
Indeed. Have yourself a great night.
You too. Night.
Peace, peace.